Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. My name's Will, and this is the WinView YouTube channel. Gotta hit you with the quick sales pitch. If you get to the end of this video and you enjoyed it, if you like this type of content, think about hitting that subscribe button down below. Totally free just to do so. Just sends you a little notification whenever I'm posting some content out there. But if you don't want to subscribe, a like is always really appreciated as well. Now, let's get into today's video. So obviously, like the title says, we are going to be talking about my 2024 S650 Mustang GT over here. And believe it or not, we have already had the Whipple Supercharger on this thing for over a year. It was just about a year that I went up to VMP up in New Smyrna Beach, and we got the whole Stage 3 Supercharger Kit installed on my S650, ran it on the dyno, made absolute awesome power. So I figured it would just be a good opportunity to just share my 2 cents on the whole ownership experience with my S650 with having it boosted for the past year. So we'll talk about drivability, reliability, maintenance. We'll go into a little bit of the differences between like stage 1, 2, 3, 4, since I have the stage 3 on mine, so I could just highlight a few little key facts and stuff like that and just share a little bit of information, since I did quite a bit of research as I was, about to pull the trigger on mine. A year ago, when I was looking to boost my S650, there was really only 2 options to go with. You could go with the Whipple or you could go with the Roush. Obviously, I decided to go with the Whipple. And I'm saying the Whipple because that is the actual supercharger head unit. It's built and manufactured by Whipple. But you can buy the supercharger kit from Ford Performance, you can buy it from VMP, you can buy it from Lethal Performance, but all 3 of those companies still use the exact same head unit, which is this Gen 6 3.0 Whipple Supercharger. And it's the exact same one that I have on mine. So if you look at it, you can see that it says VMP up here, but this is just the blower cover. And there's a few different other, blower covers, one from the Ford Performance one that looks exactly the same as the Whipple one, but it says right over here, Ford Performance. If you were to buy it from Ford and the dealership, you'd get that blower lid. If you bought directly from Whipple, it would look just like that, but instead of saying Ford Performance, it would say Whipple. Buy the VMP one, you get this one right here. And if you buy the Lethal Performance one, it just has their blower lid on it. So if you do decide to go with the Whipple Supercharger, then your next choice is to decide on which stage kit you want to go with. So there is a stage 1 kit, which is, the entry level one, obviously, stage 1, and it goes all the way up to a stage 4 if you go with VMP. So for the stage 1, you can either get a warranted version or you can get a non-warranted version. You spend about $1,000 more to get the warranted version, but then obviously you get to keep your 36-month 36,000 mile warranty, which is a really good option for a lot of people. I think it's honestly a killer option, and that's for the stage 1 kit. Or you can go, if you plan on, hey, I'm gonna probably modify this in the end, you can save yourself the $1,000 and just get the entry-level stage 1. But if you're going to go stage 1, get the warranty one done. That needs to be installed by an SEC certified mechanic or by the dealership, so just keep that in mind if you want to maintain the warranty. But with the stage 1 kit, the primarily difference is you get the larger pulley. I believe that is a 3.825 pulley that you get on the stage 1, and you also utilize a 92 millimeter throttle body on that. So I believe it keeps one of the stock throttle bodies, since on the 2024s and up you get the dual throttle body. It just reuses one of those throttle bodies, and that's how you get this whole configuration right here, right? Stage 1 does have a lower rev line as well compared to stage 2 and up. So just keep that in mind as well. It is a much subtle, tuning calibration and all that. You don't rev out as much. You got a larger pulley, so you got a little bit less boost, and you don't get as much airflow going in with the throttle, with the smaller throttle body. But for that, you're still making around like that 700 wheel horsepower mark, which is very impressive. So then you bump up to a stage 2 if you want a little bit more. Stage 2, you don't have warranty, but you do make more power, obviously. So with stage 2, you bump up to the 3.7 pulley, and then you also go with the 112 millimeter throttle body. So those 2 are differences with the hardware compared to stage 1. And then you also get the higher rev line. I believe it does rev out to 7,800 RPMs at that point, and obviously you make more horsepower. You roughly make, I've seen a lot of stage 2s making around that mid 700 to the wheel, so around that 750 to 760, even 770 horsepower, and I'm talking about on 93 octane here. And obviously if you have, you know, different fueling, if you want to run like butane or E30, or if you are running like the long tube headers, you're obviously going to make a little bit more horsepower, but figure right around that 7.5 wheel horsepower mark. So then if you go with VMP, they sell stage 3 and stage 4 kits, which the hardware more or less the same blower, same all that, same calibration, but you get different accessories, right? So this is what I have. I have the VMP stage 3 kit. So on the stage 3 kit, same blower, like I said, same throttle body, but you do get the carbon fiber intake tube down here, and then you get the next step down pulley. So this is the 3.6 pulley, and I made 806 wheel horsepower on mine. Like I said, I have the long tubes on there now. When I made my dyno pull, I didn't have long tubes, so probably making maybe close to 850 to the wheels now. Also, another thing you do get is the fuel pump booster, the BAP, the booster pump. You also get the VMP version of that as well. So that's the hardware differences right there. You get intake tube, smaller pulley, and then the booster pump. Then VMP even takes it one step further than that with their stage 4 kit. With their stage 4 kit, you get the 3.5 pulley, which is step down from what I have. You get a larger throttle body, you get the 120 millimeter throttle body, and then everything else is the same. Still get the carbon fiber intake tube, still get the booster pump, and that one you make roughly around like 850, 860 to the wheels, you know, obviously with that. So it's almost like going like 50 horsepower increments is what it seems like, going from like the stages there. So you can either start at like a stage 1, and they do sell like the stage 2 upgraded kit. My opinion, if you're going to do that, just go for the stage 2, because you're going to spend like $1,500 on the upgraded kit where you could have just saved that money from the get-go. But that's just the different stages right there, and I figured I'd just highlight that and get that out of the way, because I do get a lot of questions from people asking me, hey, what's going on right there? So hopefully that just kind of clarifies a little bit for you guys. Another big question I'm always asked is, what's the cost to boost, you know, your S650? And it's definitely kind of like variable depending on where you buy your supercharger from, when you buy your supercharger, and if you're going to be doing the installation or if you're going to be hiring a shop to do the installation. And what I mean is, obviously, you know, Whipple, Ford Performance, VMP, Lethal Performance, they're all going to have different prices on their blower, but they're all going to be pretty much within like the same realm. And then obviously when you buy your supercharger also plays a massive discount, or massive effect on like discounts and stuff like that. You know, I'm filming this in November right now. Black Friday was yesterday, so there was some crazy deals on superchargers for Black Friday. I saw like upwards of like $1,500 off, so you could pick up like a brand new like stage 2 for like $9,000 or like $9,500, you know, depending, you know, where you're from, like with taxes and all of that, right? So I would say budget for around $10,000, right? And that's just for, you know, taxes, where you're at, and if you're buying it like more or less at full price. And this is obviously like new. I'm not talking about like used or anything like that. Obviously, you know, depending on when you're buying it, depending on what stage kit you get, just figure you're roughly going to be spending somewhere around that $10,000 mark. Obviously, you can get a little bit cheaper if you get it on sale, but then obviously you want to get like different accessories and stuff, right? So just figure around like that $10,000 mark. Now for installation, it's going to be very dependent on where you get it done. If you get it done at a dealership, they're probably going to charge you more money. The only reason I would even think of having it done at a dealership is if you're going to be doing the stage 1 and they're keeping the warranty, then maybe you'll want to do it there. But in my opinion, going and getting it done at the dealership, it to me doesn't really seem like that good of an idea, because all you need to keep the warranty is having SEC certified mechanic doing the installation, and going to a performance shop that does work like this day in and day out, in my opinion, is a much better choice than going to a dealership that doesn't deal with installing superchargers every single day, right? go to someone who does this day in and day out. They're going to get it done right, and they're probably going to be cheaper than going to a dealership, which honestly probably doesn't have as much experience installing blower setups as a high performance shop. So that's just my 2 cents. And I would say roughly you're looking about somewhere between $1,500 to $2,500, depending on where you are, depending on the quality of shop and, you know, what they charge per hour to get your supercharger installed. All of my work was done at VMP. I was super fortunate. They're about 3 hours away from me, so I made a long weekend out of it. Bought the blower from them, obviously, bought the accessories from them. They did the installation. They did all the calibration for me. They set all of that up. I dynoed on their dyno, so yeah, super grateful that I'm in Florida and I was able to get that done. And another thing we should talk about now are what other supporting mods that you should do to your S650 if you're looking to get it supercharged. And a lot of people will think the first thing they need to do is like their exhaust, mainly like the headers. And I will say I ran this blower setup for a little over 2,000 miles with the stock manifolds, with the stock cats. There was no issues with it whatsoever. I didn't have any check engine lights, nothing like that. And when I removed the cats, yeah, they were a little bit like burnt out, but I'm gonna chalk that up to also running a lot of E30 and a lot of butane through there. If you are going to be going with the stage 1 setup, I do think your manifolds and cats and all that, that's the way to go. Just stay with that to keep compliant with your warranty. But anything above that, I do think you will eventually need either headers or like gutting the cats, something like that. Definitely going to want some stickier tires. You're making a hell of a lot more horsepower, a lot more torque, so getting some wider, stickier tires in the rear is definitely going to make it more enjoyable and a little bit more safe to drive on the roads. You make like upwards of like 650 foot-pound-feet of torque once you throw one of these blowers on there, so you're definitely going to be blowing that ass end out a little bit, no homo. You're also going to want to beef up the suspension a little bit, at least do like some like the Steeda Stop the Hop kit or anything like that, just to eliminate wheel hop. Lowering springs probably would help, you know, just stiffen up the ride a little bit better as well. Definitely not 100% necessary. As you can see, I'm still like 4x4 height on mine. I have the Ford Performance lowering springs, but I have yet to install them because I absolutely hate doing suspension work, so just been putting it on the back burner, but I will be throwing them on there eventually as well. Next thing is the oil pump gears and the crank sprocket. I didn't do it on mine, and from a lot of my research was saying that yeah, it's something that eventually when you're starting to make like crazy horsepower, you will want to address it and get it done. Hindsight 2020, I wish I would have just done it when they were installing the blower, because it would have just saved a hell of a lot more time getting it done. So in my personal opinion, if you think you're going to be cranking up the boost over time, you might as well just get it done. Next up, we could just talk about a little bit of maintenance. So like I said, I've had it on a year right now, and during that year I've only done very minor things as far as maintenance goes. Did oil change twice. I did the first oil change after 500 miles on the blower, and then I did my second oil change after, I want to say, like 1,500 miles on the blower. So they do recommend once you go with the supercharger to change your weight of the oil. Go with like the same oil that would go in the GT500, which is the 5W50 oil. So as well as oil changes, you do need to change the supercharger oil, but as per Whipple, that's going to be way out in the future. They recommend changing that after 100,000 miles, and I definitely don't have anywhere near that. Another maintenance thing you'll need to do is change the spark plugs out. Whipple says to change them out after 20,000 miles or every 20,000 miles of use. In my opinion, there is if you are just regular daily driving it, just average spirited driving, that could be perfectly fine. But if you are racing yours, you are going with higher boost, different oil or different fuels, stuff like that, you definitely want to change them out a little bit more often. And then really the only other thing is the supercharger belt. Whipple recommends every 25,000 miles. My opinion on that is if you are constantly changing out the supercharger pulley, you're using the tensioner to basically relieve tension and then add tension back on, you're going to want to change it out a little bit more frequently, and if you are racing and doing stuff like that, it's going to eat up the belt a little bit more. So my opinion is just have a few belts on hand, put them in a backpack, keep them in the trunk, because God forbid you're out one day and you tear a belt, at least you have one there and you're not stranded. But per Whipple recommendations, every 25,000 miles for a new supercharger belt. And then just like, you know, your standard stuff, make sure your air filters are nice and clean, stuff like that. But maintenance, honestly, all very, very simple, not high maintenance at all. It's not like it's some like exotic car that needs like a full engine out service or anything like that. At the end of the day, it's still an old reliable Coyote engine, so maintenance is pretty minimal. I think it's time to give you all what you want and wake this beast up. I just want to go ahead and apologize ahead of time if the audio quality isn't the best right now, because it's pretty freaking loud in here, especially with the long tube headers and the muffler delete. Yeah, it's pretty rowdy. But yeah, we're just cruising right now. Automatic transmission has us in 9th gear. We're just kind of cruising around, not really in boost, and as you can see, it's just super subtle, right? It's drives just as if it was stock. Comfortable wise, you know, all of that. It's not jolty, it doesn't feel like it wants to kill you, it doesn't feel rough, nothing like that. It feels as if it was just stock, which is honestly what I love about the Whipple. And I can't comment on any of the others, but with the Whipple anyway, you still have all, you know, the feature comforts that you would, you know, having a full factory 5.0, right? So we'll bump it up here a little bit. Fuel economy isn't the best, but honestly by no means is it the worst. Again, guys, to put it into perspective, this is a 800 wheel horsepower V8, right? And if you're getting double-digit fuel economy, to me that's a win. So we're averaging right around that 14 miles per gallon right now, which in my opinion is pretty freaking awesome, all things considered. But yeah, just right now, as you can see, car's not violently shaken or anything. You know, you do have a little bit of exhaust noise, but that's to be expected. If you had an active exhaust, it would be a hell of a lot quieter than this as well. I'm muffler delete with long tube, so yeah, it's pretty freaking loud. To be expected though, right? But yeah, just wanted to take you guys for a little bit of a ride and show you just how stock this thing really drives, right until you hit boost. When that boost starts to hit and you want to start, you know, being a little bit rowdy, it will be real freaking rowdy. So it all depends on how you want to drive it. So don't get it twisted. Just because it drives nice and normal out of boost, it is the absolute opposite once it's in boost. It is a pure Jekyll and Hyde situation. Totally normal, refined, classy kind of dude out of boost. Then once that boost hits, it's a fucking animal, and I love it. I fucking love it. So I guess it's time to share my 2 cents on the whole ownership experience. So would I do it again? Fuck yeah. I think it is well worth the money. Now, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and try and like fake the funk and say that dropping like 13 grand like I did on mine is a easy pill to swallow. It's not. $13,000 is a lot of money, but it totally transforms the car, in my personal honest opinion. And it doesn't like affect drivability or reliability at all, in my opinion. So if you're nervous about like going with a supercharger because you think you're gonna lose that like easiness of driving like your 5.0, it drives just like it was stock if you're not in boost. If you're not trying to blow the ass end out of it, it's not gonna do so. It's not gonna do like Mustang things. You're not gonna lose control unless you're driving like an asshole, and then it is gonna bite you. But if you're just driving it normally, you're a responsible driver, you're not trying to do like dumb shit, nothing bad's gonna happen. It's a very planted car. It's a very easy driving car in my opinion, but when that boost hits, it hits, and it's an absolute animal. But reliability, I've had no issues whatsoever. This thing has been rock solid. Drivability and comfort, drives just like it's stock. Fun factor is an 11 out of 10. This thing is so much fun. It's an absolute animal. It will destroy things on the road that will never see it coming. I've embarrassed things well out of its price range. Honestly, in my opinion, I absolutely love this thing. It's so much fun. And to make this kind of horsepower for just like that $13,000 is kind of just mind-blowing. So if you're on the fence about boosting your S650, I definitely recommend you do so. It completely transforms this thing into a completely different animal. I totally get it now. Boosted 5.0s, they're just a force to be reckoned with. They're so much fun, and it's so easy to just make crazy horsepower out of them. And I can only imagine how fun it would be to drive this with a manual as well. So even if you're a manual guy, so much fun. I can only imagine. With a 10R80, this thing just absolutely fucking eats. I love it. And honestly, I'm pretty stoked to end up pushing this thing a little bit more, possibly building the transmission, going for like that crazy horsepower goal like I said before. But even where I'm at right now, at that 800 wheel horsepower mark, transmission's perfectly fine, everything's holding fine, it drives as if it was stock, it just has all that crazy horsepower for a street car. I think this is that nice sweet spot. So I think going with either like that stage 2 or going with that VMP stage 3 is 100% the way to go. I don't think anyone, if you were to pull that trigger, you're gonna look back and say, oh man, I really regret doing that. I don't think those words will ever come out of your mouth. They definitely have not come out of mine. So that's just my unbiased 2 cents right there, guys, for what it's worth. But yeah, everybody, that's gonna do it for this one. Just wanted to make a quick video, just share my ownership experience with my boosted S650. Like I just said, I absolutely love it. And I think if you guys are on the fence about doing it to your S650, just fucking do it. You're gonna absolutely love it. But yeah, guys, I want you all to comment down below. Let me know if you guys have any other questions that I didn't cover in this video. I try my best to reply to everybody. And if you are an S650 owner, you know, comment down below if you are rocking like one of the Supercharger kits or the Roush kits or anything like that, and you know, share your experience as well, because I don't have any, you know, insight on those, but you know, starting a conversation down in the comment section can shed some light on some other prospective owners out there. So yeah, go ahead, do that as well. And another thing, if you are a S650 owner and you do have a Whipple and you've had any other like issues or reliability issues, stuff like that, comment down below as well, because just because I didn't have any of those issues doesn't mean that they don't exist and other people haven't experienced them. So I like to be 100% transparent. I like to help the car community and the owners out there. I'm not just out here spreading a false narrative. I want to shed light on everything. So if you are in that category, comment down below as well. But as always, guys, I appreciate you chilling with me today. My name is Will. This is the Whipple YouTube channel. Hit that like button down below. I always really appreciate that. And I'll see you all in the next one. Later, everybody.